One Doctor gives you national prefixed prices with no call-out or overtime charges 24 hours, 365 days a year. Drain Doctor. Emergency plumbing and drainage. As quick as a wink. The Doctor will see you now.
Drain Doctor, proud sponsors of How to Start Your Own Business.
Hello and welcome to the first episode of How to Start Your Own Business. In today's programme we'll be hearing from the British Franchise Association, the only voluntary self-regulatory body for the UK franchise industry. We'll also be spending some time getting to know two different businesses who are accredited BFA members with a proven trading and franchising record. Firstly, Brian Smart, Director General of the British Franchise Association, explains the role the BFA plays in relation to promoting ethical franchising practice in the UK.
The BFA is an association of franchise networks which meet certain specific and detailed standards of good practice. We were put in place in the 1970s when there was quite an expansion of business format franchising in the UK. The best companies found that they were being disadvantaged because people who had not really developed a proven business model were going into the market with glossy brochures but not a developed format and winning investors into their businesses even when they hadn't been fully developed. So the businesses who were meeting standards of good practice, who were offering fully developed business formats which they'd proven in the marketplace, they wanted an advantage in the market for prospective franchisees. And they wanted that advantage to be based on the work they'd put into developing their networks and the standards that they met. So they decided a standards-based kite marking organisation was the right way to make sure that potential investors could recognise good franchising from bad.
We recently travelled to Birmingham to meet some of the franchise owners and team from Kumon who tell us more about their innovative approach to after-school learning.
Kumon's the best after-school programme for maths and English that I have ever seen. It's for all abilities, for children who are struggling at school and haven't really got what they're doing. But it's also for those who really enjoy what they're doing and they take a lot of pleasure in advancing and doing work ahead of their school age. So for people like me, it's a great job to inspire them to greater studies.
The service itself is unique. The idea being it's about nurturing the vast potential of every child. So rather than remedial tutoring, it is specifically focusing on improving children at whatever level and stage of education they're at in order to improve their development so they get to a point of self-learning and can really realise their potential. Kumon, particularly within the UK, where we've been now for 21 or so years, has always used the franchise model as its method of delivery, its business model. It's done that very well. Kumon has been very important in the local communities and in what they serve. And as a result, having a local representative, someone part of the community, a local franchisee, has had a very powerful effect on the promotion and distribution of awareness of the centre. We have over 600 franchises across the UK and Ireland.
I went through the kind of standard educational background of young people. I did my GCSEs and A-levels. I achieved good enough grades to then go to university, study economics at the University of Nottingham. But while I was doing all of that, for the 5 years I was studying, I was actually working as an assistant at the local centre in Beeston, very close to where I was at school. And I picked up a lot of experience there, and that's kind of when my curiosity was triggered about Kumon. I was seeing how it was working firsthand, and it was always in my mind that actually this could be something I'm looking into in the future. Now I'm actually the instructor of that centre where I worked for 5 years. I've taken over that centre, and merging the two passions of mine, working with children and also running my own business, is fantastic, and I'm very happy with that position right now.
From the business side of things, I looked at it and saw that it was well established. It's global. They've got over 50 years of experience, more than I had bringing to a new business. So I could rely upon that to support me in my early days of setting up. I mean, I started off with my own two children in my class. That was my class. I've now got over 140 children, and I've instructed hundreds more over the years. But I saw that it had potential as a business model. I started off as very part-time in order to fit in around my family. It's much less part-time now.
The benefits of investing in an established brand and business model are to effectively be able to start one's business as securely as possible, using a proven business model, in Kumon's case that's worked for the last 50 years across the globe. So for those individuals that are interested in investing money, investing themselves in a business who don't necessarily have that business acumen behind them, that proven model and that extensive brand awareness helps give that platform to build from and the confidence to start one's own business and to invest. An advantage of having that brand awareness and proven business model is in securing financial backing and support. Certainly, and many of our franchisees have been able, and found very easily, been able to find that support from various banks and building societies for their endeavours, be it a commercial premises or be it effectively just starting up the centre originally. That really helps build faith and value in your business partners as much as your potential customers as well.
From the very first moment that I went for an interview at first, I saw the excitement and quality of the staff. You know, they are they're very inspirational people, and it just made me want to be part of the team. You know, you want to join in because you know that they are doing a good job, and you think, actually, no, I'd really like to do a good job too. So that has been, you know, that started it all off. From then on, I've been able to grow my business at my own pace. You know, there's no pressure, it is just support. And I know that I'm part of a really good team. I know that the people, everybody who works for Kumon is of a really high standard, and they set high standards for themselves. It's quite hard for us because we're always having to strive for something better. You know, so you do have to always want to be the best and continually improve yourself. So self-study and self-improvement of your business structures and your instructional capabilities is something that we're always working on.
So to start a franchise with Kumon, one needs to invest £3,000. Now from that £3,000, £400 is actually for the licence fee itself, the licence to trade using the Kumon brand, amongst other things. The remaining £2,600 is put towards a franchisee's CPA, or Centre Promotion Account. Now that money is ring-fenced just for them to spend on marketing their own centre across their first 2 years of being a Kumon franchisee. And in fact, our subsidy also kicks in at that point, and we subsidise and throw a further £3,250 to that pot as well. Additionally to pay each month, there is a royalty rate, which is payable to Kumon per subject, per student. And that's a fixed cost. The fees that the franchisee can set for their centre, though, are variable. So once again, it's down to the individual to understand their market, to understand exactly the gross profit that they themselves can look to make from their centre. Additionally, one should take into account, of course, the rental costs that you'd be paying at your venue each and every month, your resource costings too. Most Kumon centres will have numerous class assistants, and the larger your class and student intake grows, the more assistance you'll need in order to deliver the Kumon method. So these are the sort of costs one needs to bear in mind.
My business has actually flourished since I've taken it over. It's grown by 30% and it continues to grow very nicely as we speak. And the main thing I've found since I've taken it over is that actually the support you have from existing parents is very strong. And they often can do a very good job for you just naturally. Once they see the success of the program with their own children, they actually want to spread the word themselves. And it comes out very naturally with them too. So that's been very helpful for me. But also the marketing I've done, I've been very fortunate in that it's been quite successful. I've found very lucrative avenues of marketing, which have given me a little boost in numbers. So that's helped my business flourish in the short time since I've been running it.
If you were an interested party looking to become a franchisee, we'd invite you to one of our information sessions held across the country. Let's say you were doing that in January. If one took the test that we do there and passed, it's a maths and English test, relatively basic and straightforward, and then was successful in interview, one could be in training to become a Kumon instructor by March and effectively opening up your centre within April. So that's the most minimum time frame, but it can vary beyond that point.
I decided to take on a franchise rather than setting up my own business simply because of the support that was on offer with Kumon. I mean, given my prior experience, setting up my own business from scratch would have been a very risky option. And the great thing with Kumon is that a lot of the unknowns, the question marks that are there when you're setting up a business, they're all kind of taken care of already. I did a lot of research, and the success rate of Kumon centres are generally very, very good. And the financial rewards from it are also very good. So those kind of key questions were answered straight away. So that lowered the kind of risk level straight away. But on top of that, I knew what Kumon could offer academically, and I could see how it had worked previously as I was working in a centre. So all those things put together, it kind of aided my own decision-making process.
I couldn't have come up with this programme on my own. It's impossible. I don't think any single person could have done that. There's such a massive team behind the build-up of this programme. From Toru Kumon in those first early days, writing out those worksheets by hand, to what we do now, they're so finely tuned. There's no way that I could have produced that and started up a business and marketed it myself. It's just not something I could have done on my own. So actually buying into the business makes an awful lot of sense. I'm opening up a permanent centre in the next few months, and so I will be based in a proper Kumon shop, and I will be able to open for more sessions each week and be able to spread the word further in the community, help more students. So I'm really excited about it, can't wait.
Franchising is a great way of getting into business. If you try and do it on your own, you've got to decide what product or service you're going to sell, where you're going to sell it from, how you're going to promote it, and what price you're going to charge in relation to the costs you've got in producing and selling your product. Now, you've only got to get that price a little bit too high and you've got no customers. You've only got to get it a little bit too low, and you might just as well give people £1 every time you sell anything. It's not easy at all to put in place a business format that works. That's what franchisors have already done. When you buy into a franchise, you buy into a business format which already is known to work in a marketplace. What you've got to do is to exploit that system in a similar market in a new and duplicated operation, just like the franchisors.
We'll be back after the break to find out more. Don't go away.
Choosing a plumber should never be a gamble. Call Drain Doctor, and it won't be.
Taking on a franchise is a big step, and one you should only take once you've thoroughly researched what's really involved. British Franchise Association accredited exhibitions are your perfect opportunity to speak with experts, hear from franchisers, and gain from free educational seminars. Visit thebfa.org for all upcoming exhibition dates and access to free tickets.
My job is so rewarding, but you can't imagine how rewarding it is until you experience it.
Are you looking for a new opportunity, more flexibility, and a career working with children?
I run my own Kumon Maths and English Study Centre. It gives me the fantastic opportunity to help children to develop at their own pace and individualise their study programme, because every child is different.
To find out more about Kumon, call now or visit our website to begin your Kumon journey.
There's a national plumber that charges you the same rate with no call-out cost, day or night. Drain Doctor.
Joe Jingles, encouraging your child's early years development with music. At Joe Jingles, we provide babies and preschool-age children with a fun and gentle introduction to the wonders of music, singing and movement. Our classes are available throughout the UK, Ireland and now in Western Australia. And like your little one, we're growing all the time. Spend quality time with your child, meet new friends, sing, make music, educate your child and have fun with Joe Jingles.
The doctor will see you now.
Welcome back to part 2. We will be hearing more from the BFA shortly, but first we met with Jill Thomas, founder of Joe Jingles, a singing and movement class for young children. Jill tells us more.
My name is Jill Thomas. I'm the owner and founder of Joe Jingles Limited. We operate the leading provider of music, singing and movement classes in the UK for children under the age of 5 years. As well as running parenting classes, we also go into early years settings such as nurseries, preschools and also into children's Sure Start centres. And in addition to that, we often get asked to do parties for the children who come to our classes.
I'm Laura Sykes. I'm a Joe Jingles franchisee. I've got 2 children, teenage children. I've been teaching Joe Jingles as a franchisee for 9 years, and I was teaching for 2 years as a class teacher before that.
It's that knowledge of a well-known brand, and it's a successful financial model. So when they're buying into a franchise, as opposed to setting up independently, they're buying into a system that's already established. They are given help and advice in how to launch their business and how to run it. And they're also given that umbrella support throughout their lifetime as a franchisee. And that will cover all sorts of aspects of running a business, from employing people, from tax issues, as well as promotional activity.
I think it works well because you are self-employed, you're running your own classes, you are left to sort of develop your business as much or as little as you like. But you have the head office are always there to sort of back you up. There is a safety net, so if there's any problems, you can always phone them. Should there be any legal problems, finance problems, there's always someone there that you can speak to. So the more you go on, the more confident you get with it. But at the beginning, there's a lot of support to get you up and running. Are you ready to clap your hands and say, good morning, good morning, good morning to you. Good morning, good morning, good morning to you. I'm a tinkle-dangle scarecrow with a flippy-floppy hat. I can shake my arms like this, I can shake my legs like that. Lovely! Well done. Right, have a sit down. We all play together, together, together. It started off obviously a very different climate now to when I first started. There's a lot more competition than when I first started, but I think because of what we do, we've maintained a high, standard of classes. Over the last 9 years, I think the preschool market has broadened an awful lot. There's a lot of different things children can go to, but I think we've been able to sort of stay ahead in the music by introducing baby classes, extending to preschool classes and things like that.
Just really good fun. Today she really enjoyed it. Her first lesson, really involved, sensory, songs, brilliant, using the instruments, things that, you'd sort of do some things at home, but in a class with other children, they really join in and have a great time. I've always still liked to take my children to school. They're still in school, so I take them to school. Depending on where I'm driving to, I arrive at the venue, unload a lot of equipment, which is one of the downsides of doing this job, a lot of equipment, set up. Generally then the mums are starting to arrive, so by 9:30, 9:45 I'm starting to teach classes. This morning we've done 3 classes back to back with 3 different age groups, so there's not a lot of time in between, but it's fast paced, fast moving, and we need to be like that, so that's great. Short lunch break today. I'm going to teach another class after lunch. Then I would go on. I do have a nursery this afternoon. We teach in nurseries as well, so we fit that sort of sometimes in the afternoon. Then I swing by, pick my daughter up, get home. There's normally check emails, check messages. Obviously there's a lot of that side of admin. It's not just coming and teaching.
You've got to maintain the business side, which is returning calls, inquiries. I've got 2 class teachers that work with me, so I check in on them and see how if there's been anything, you know, happening there. So I normally have about an hour and so of admin once I get home. Then it's normal family life.
I think it's the music, the sort of introduction to musical instruments, and just through sing. I think they just learn so much through the singing, and it's just a lovely, fun environment for them.
It's a class that's really well structured. Some classes aren't so structured, so kids are moving about all the time, and this is nice because the age ranges are quite select, so the kids are always going to be a similar age, so their development is very similar as well. Some classes have them where they're, you know, like 3 or 4 year gaps, so it doesn't work so well.
How do you feel today? If you're feeling happy now, clap your hands. Open them wide. Put them together. Leave them alone.
I just think it's fantastic. The kids have such a fun time. Laura's brilliant. It's always been through Laura, and they learn so much, and they just have a lot of fun. It's great.
But it's just nice to have that special time with with the babies. You know, your lives are busy, and this is that time I can dedicate to her. She really enjoys it, and I really enjoy it. Yeah, and it is. It's social. You can get to meet people. You know, if you're new to areas and things like that.
When you have a business plan, you sort of know where you want to be. Now, for some people, if they've first starting out, just teaching themselves for the first year is fine. But it's a lot of hard work, and it might be nice to share that by employing people, which is a big step. But again, head office, you get loads of information, loads of packs about how to do that. So you can bring someone else on board, which means that you can either take a step back from a day of teaching, which means you can work on your promotion, your admin and things like that, and expand your classes, because obviously we buy areas, you can't physically do it all yourself. So you take someone on. What also I did to expand my business at the time was a lot of nursery business, private day nurseries. So we moved into a lot of those, so then I took on another teacher to specifically go into nurseries and teach in that environment, which is a bit different from the parent classes. And as it's progressed, actually I should have said before, that children's centres, government funding is there for music as well, because they see the benefits of children. But yeah, I think you have to know in yourself how far you want to go. And I think, in year 1 year on my own was enough, but by year 2, year 3, the confidence grows, and you can see, without going too fast, but see, how the expansion can work for you.
Franchising as a model for me was right because it enabled me to promote the brand and promote the positive development of children, which was my driving force, as quickly as possible in the UK. And the first 2 years was a very slow climb, but then as people got to hear about the brand, as they got to hear about the effects it was having on children, more and more people realised that this was something they wanted to do for themselves. And to actually be able to run a business and enjoy it, have fun, but also have a very positive effect on young children in their local communities has been a really driving factor behind the success of Joe Jingles.
I would recommend buying a franchise. You can do a lot of research ahead. You can look into the proven track record of what you're buying into. So there's never a question mark about how other people are running their business. There's a lot of information up front you can find out about. So you have that as a safety net, and also although you're working and it's your own business, you are working as part of a network. So you have that as a comforter as well. So you don't need to feel that you're having to find everything yourself. There's help with that, but there's still a lot you can do yourself. So you don't feel as though you're constricted by it. You can still expand and bloom your business, but you have that, being a franchisee, you have that backup as well. So I would highly recommend it. It's worked very well for me.
If anybody is thinking of franchising, they really must be passionate about what they're going to be doing. Passionate about the product or the service, and very knowledgeable about its benefits to the customer. So if they're not passionate about it, they shouldn't do it. Secondly, they need to get financial backing, and normally they will need to speak to a bank, so they will need to prepare some sort of business plan in preparation for that. So researching the market is key, and making sure that they have covered all eventualities. And thirdly, they have to be driven in terms of character. They've got to be prepared to be motivated and work very hard at making this a success, and not necessarily giving up at the first problem.
When you get into a franchise business, you're going to need to meet the costs of having been recruited and selected as someone who is going to be able to make the business work. You're going to have to meet the costs of setting up the business from scratch in a new location, the costs of training you in all of the things you need to be able to do in order to be able to open the doors or start the business and get going from day one. Those are not immaterial costs. You shouldn't be paying a great deal more than that. There will be a license fee for the right to use the brand, and depending on the strength of that brand, that license fee may be higher or lower. But it shouldn't be a hugely significant part of the price that you're going to pay. You're also going to need to meet the working capital costs of the business. Whenever you run a business, it costs you money up front to buy in product or stock, or to put in place everything that's needed to deliver your service. It's not going to be immediately that you get that money back from customers. The more business you do, the more money gets tied up in that period between acquiring what you're going to sell and selling it on to your customers. And working capital in some business can be a significant element of the money you're going to need to find to get going. In franchising, you shouldn't find that there's any huge profit element there for the franchisor. Their interest, if it's a good franchise, should be in their share of the business you do subsequently with customers selling products or services successfully. So initial fees aren't the whole story about the costs. There's also the continuing fees that you'll need to pay in order to continue with the rights to use the brand, to use the business system, and all the updates which the franchisor, again if they're a good one, is going to be building in to the business that you're running with them.
We do hope that you enjoyed today's show. Join us next week to find out more about the benefits of franchise opportunities. See you then.